What is up? Welcome back. Hopefully everybody had a good Valentine's Day weekend and first Ruby Gauntlet event. Y'all are going to have to let me know, how did you do in this event? Were you able to get the event card? What pulls did you have? This is, I guess, the end of the event. At least the end of the event for me. Because Saturday afternoon, I'm done. I quit. After the last 15 games or so of seeing the exact same thing, these AI decks that are completely rigged to a way that I just don't appreciate. I do not like, and it is not fun for me. I just got frustrated and tired of seeing it, so I just quit. We're going to talk about that today, talk about my feelings, talk about my experiences for this gauntlet, because I certainly do not approve of how things done. Now, this is just my experiences. It might not be yours. And there were people that have told me that they did finish with base tier Ruby. I am towards the top of base tier Ruby for my Gauntlet deck. I am almost into that Ruby plus, so I have a decent deck. Definitely a good enough deck to be able to get this done, and they said they were able to get it done. +3, free to play, event card, and all that stuff. But you know what? Come to find out, Valentine's Day, the event card's already obsolete, right? The Ruby Valentine's Day cards are better than the Bam Adebayo events card? Is that for real? Somebody told me that. I did take a glance at the stats. I didn't calculate them. I didn't see them when they were leveled up, but they do look really, really close. We're going to talk about all that stuff, but yeah, like I said, let me know how everything went this weekend for you guys, and yeah, let's just talk about this gauntlet. Let's talk about the things that I've done the last 15 games or so. Why I do not like this event and why I have not been liking this event recently. Now, of course, everybody probably knows how this event works, right? You do get bonuses for correct positions. So as long as it randomly picks the position that you have a card of in that correct position, you get whatever bonus. Right? And that sounds, I guess, in concept that it might be kind of cool, but it turns out that I actually really do not like this. And it turns out that the AI gets the boost a lot more than I do, at least. I don't know if that's like that with everybody. And it always seems that I get defense when they get offense, which also can be a problem because offense is the most juice stat in the game. Almost every single card in this game, offense is much better than defense. So if they're getting boosts more, they're getting offense more, just right there makes it really tough to win. But that's not the only problem. That's not the only problems that I've been experiencing. We're going to start it off, though, obviously, in the very beginning. As long as you have all players in the correct positions, you're going to get the stat boost. So, yeah, we get the stat boost right off the jump. We end up losing, but hey, look at that. Second one, they pick one that I don't have a card of. Point guard, okay? You know what? We ain't going to get the stat boost. That happens more times than you would not believe. I would say at least like 3 out of the 4 every single game, it feels like. At least 2 out of the 4 quarters every single game. The second stat boost is always a position that I already played the first card. I don't know why that is. Well, okay, I do know why that is. Because that's how it's set up. At least that's how it feels like it's set up for me. Not every game is the same, right? There are some changes in the way things play out, but it feels like every single game. What is an emerald doing in there? This game is actually a little bit different in the way that there was one emerald. There's still bronzes in a gauntlet deck, which is crazy. Look at this. Shooting guard. I just played shooting guard the first matchup. So I played shooting guard the first matchup, and again, the second card, they pick another one that I don't have the boost of for the second round. Yeah, they get them. Okay. I don't, though. Hey, a Ruby Pro. That sucks. We're going to lose those matchups. Now, I know some people might be thinking, well, why does it matter if they have bronze cards in the deck? Why does that make a difference? Well, if you think about it this way, let me kind of paint a picture for you. let's say we have, let's just say 4 cards, right? And all of my, hey, another Ruby Pro. I only have 2 Ruby Pros, by the way. Let's say that I only have, let's say I have 4 cards. 4 of my cards. 4 of my cards are base Ruby cards. Okay? They're base Rubies. Now they add up to a certain amount of stats, which makes my deck a certain amount of strength. And, let's say instead the AI has 1 bronze out of those 4 cards, and the other 3, since that bronze is dropped so low that the other 3 cards can be lunar Ruby cards. So their 3 other cards are now all juiced up better than all of my cards, and they have the 1 bronze that they're going to lose. So 3 out of the 4 matchups, they're going to win, and I'm only going to win 1 matchup. You see why it could be a problem? Now, even though that it's the same total stats and the same total deck tier, they could set it up to in a way to where if they put in these bronzes, then they could juice the rest of the cards and make it really difficult to play. Well, that's how it is, and that's how it's been like the last 15 games, and I can't take it anymore. I can't take playing bronze decks every single time and losing because of the fact that I only have 2 Ruby Pros. And I think in this deck they had 6 Ruby Pros. 6 Ruby Pros. Why am I playing a deck with 6 Ruby Pros in it? And the lunar cards, and I mean, I have a couple lunar cards. Hey, look at that, a bronze. Why is a bronze card in the Gauntlet deck? This just makes no sense for them to set up the AI decks like this. This is not a person's deck. I've played like 15 games in a row in which bronze cards are where the bronze cards is, there's at least in this particular game there was 3 of them. Now this particular game there was 3 bronze cards, 1 emerald, or maybe it was 4 bronze cards and 1 emerald. But even back at Sapphire Plus Plus, when the decks were Sapphire Plus Plus, I was playing 5 bronze deck, like there would just be 5 bronze cards in it. And the rest of them would be all juiced with Ruby Pros and all this other stuff. And it makes it really hard to compete because, like I said, since they drop 5 cards really low, they could juice up a bunch of other cards, which makes it really difficult to beat. Now, sometimes you can beat them because overall, the deck is exactly the same. That last one, we tied. We did get the points, but I can't tell you how many times I lost. Just because of the fact that they got 5, 6, 7 Ruby Pros for the simple fact that they got 5 bronzes. So overall, I did not have a very good experience once I got to the Ruby tier, Sapphire Plus tier. I found that they were getting the boost a lot more than I was. I was getting it. I was missing the boost on the second card. Like that last game, I was missing it on the second card 3 out of the 4 quarters. 3 out of the 4 quarters or 3 out of the 4 rounds. I missed it on the second card. Most of the time they get boosts, I get less boosts. Most of the time they get offense, I get defense. Again, makes it really hard. But the worst thing of all was those bronze decks. All of that stuff combined, I absolutely hate the boosts in this game now. Absolutely hate the fact that they set them up for this, for putting in these bronze cards and playing round after round, game after game, matchup after matchup with bronze cards while they got all of these Ruby Pros. It was just really frustrating. I couldn't do it anymore, so I just had to quit. I had to stop. I couldn't play this. I didn't want to do +3s from this point on to guarantee myself a win because that's a lot of +3s starting at Chris Paul. Y'all have to let me know your experience, though. Was it like mine? Did you get that bronze deck thing over and over and over again? I totally don't mind if I hit a wall. Like in WWE, I am always in the lower tier of whatever tier we're in. Like right now, we are in Royal Rumble tier. My Gauntlet deck is somewhere in the base tier, bottom tier of Royal Rumble Plus or Royal Rumble Base. Makes the Gauntlet a little bit difficult. I do hit a wall, but I can see why I hit the wall because their decks are better. But it's a overall deck, not a deck in which is manipulated in a way to where it drops a lot of the cards to have, like, imagine if you do play WWE. imagine if you were in the Gauntlet and you went up against a deck that had like 5 Gothics in there, and then the rest of the cards were all heroic cards, special cards, event cards, and all that stuff. It'd make it almost impossible to beat them at your tier or even a tier below you, just because they manipulated the deck in a way to make it very difficult, because it's multiple matchups, not just one single matchup. It's multiple matchups all added together, and overall they have a lot better cards than I do. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Let me know your experiences. But either way, these are my pull rates. Much of the same as before. Not very good. 89 total resets out of all the ones that we did as far as we got into the Chris Paul, which wasn't very far. Mostly gold and emerald. We did get quite a few grits. Only 2 sapphires and 89 total resets. We did pick up 1 Ruby Pro, or 1 Ruby early, and it was like, I don't know, maybe like a couple hours after I got off the stream on Thursday. I did pick up the Ruby, which just so happened to be the same exact Ruby freebie that I pulled in the video. I don't know, what was that, 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago? So my very first regular base tier Ruby Pro, and it was the one that I picked up from my freebie. And when I got it, I was like, that's not too bad, but maybe we could get it. And like, it doesn't matter necessarily how good or bad. I mean, obviously you want good top tier cards, but sometimes bad cards show up in events, and sometimes bad cards show up on the draft board. In this case, you got a pro. And just to let you see what my deck was, which, like I said, it's really close to Ruby Plus. And I was actually losing matchups with decks with those bronze cards in it to Sapphire decks, Sapphire plus decks in the tier. When I was doing the Sapphire card, I was still doing it. Like I said, the last like 15 games or so, I've been playing against all these bronze decks that have 3, 4, 5 bronze cards in them, and then the rest of them with 5, 6, 7 Ruby Pros, lunar cards, and all that stuff juiced up. And some of those were Sapphire plus decks, and I was losing to those. And those aren't people decks. Like, they're not player decks. Like, player decks, like, it just wouldn't happen to be that like 15 games in a row I come across random 15 people that have exactly 5 or 4 bronze cards in their Gauntlet deck. That just does not make any sense whatsoever, especially if they have, you know, 5, 6 Ruby Pros. They're not going to have bronze cards in their deck. So that's 100% an AI set up deck, manipulated in a way to make you lose. And that's exactly how it feels, and that just is not cool with me. I do not like that and do not appreciate them doing that. And so that was the reason why we just stopped playing, stopped doing it, and we're just going to move on. I'm not going to say that I don't expect it to continue, but I'm hoping that it changes. I mean, I hope that I don't see that the next Gauntlet and it just turns back to normal, like normal tiers, normal cards, normal decks, to where it is player based, I guess, and very similar to my deck. If I lose to decks that are like mine, I'm okay with that. I'll drop down, or when they get better than mine, I'll drop down, but not like that. Not like that. That's not okay. But anyways, that is going to do it for the video. Again, let me know your experience with the Gauntlet. How do you feel about it? Do you like it? I don't like it whatsoever. Absolutely hated it. Hated every single bit of it. It wasn't bad until I got to a point where I understood about the bonuses and that I didn't get very many, or didn't get as many as the AI that I was finding, and I found that I was getting defense so much more than offense, and it just made the game not fun whatsoever. And I'm honestly glad I didn't stick it out, because of the fact that Bam's now obsolete, and it doesn't even matter anymore because they're gonna make special cards just as strong as event cards. And if that's the case, I don't know, maybe I just won't do events anymore. Maybe we'll just have to grind out these quests. Maybe I'll just put in a couple 100 credits and open a couple packs and hope for that way. And just use that. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Let me know how everything went. Give me your honest opinion about it. Hopefully that type of stuff gets changed and it feels a little bit more fair and balanced. But we'll just have to see. Yeah. I'll see y'all next time, though. Hopefully y'all had a good weekend. I am out. Peace.